Now, I'm telling you right now, we're going to have to go a little long today because there's a lot of things that we got to destroy. So just be patient with us. But I promise you, what we're going to give you here today is going to be life-changing. And the churches and the pastors, if they receive this, I promise you, we're going to get the things that the Most High has promised us. But we got to get set things in order for that to happen. Okay, now, if you want to click in and follow behind us, we're going to be reading this for you. We put it in there, but we got to move forward. Now, start there with most historians.
Most historians, including Bible scholars, agree that Easter was originally a pagan festival. According to the New Unger's Bible Dictionary, the word Easter is of Saxon origin, Estra, the goddess of spring, in whose honor sacrifices were offered about Passover time each year.
Now, so you hear what they're saying, that most biblical scholars agree that Easter is a pagan origin. So if these Bible scholars and all these people know that, why are they still pushing it in the churches? First thing I want you to think about. Secondly, he also says that Easter happened around the time of Passover. Now, we're going to show you here in Acts the 12th chapter. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have a King James Bible, they've changed it, so you're not going to be able to get it. So in order to see this in its proper stance, its proper understanding, you need a King James Bible to understand it. And I'm telling you right now, you need a King James Bible. Because these New King James, this NIV, and all these other versions, they have taken things out of the Bible. Okay? So, you better get you a King James. So we're going to go to Acts the 12th chapter. We're going to look at verses 1 through 5. And we're going to show you and prove to you that Easter had nothing to do with Israel. So give them verse 1 there. Acts the 12th chapter, 1 through 5.
Now about the time Herod the king stretched forth his hand to vex certain of the church, he killed James, the brother of John, with his sword.
Okay, so Herod, which was an Idumean. Okay, it's very important that you realize that. He was an Edomite. He was not an Israelite. Even though he was the king of the Jews, he was not an Israelite. He was an Edomite. We talked about that in the lessons before. We're gonna deal with some of these things later in the weeks to come, so we don't have time to explain that right now, but you need to understand that he was not an Israelite. Okay? And so he's attacking the church, killing the apostles. Now let's look at verse 3 here.
And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then those were the days of unleavened bread.
Now, you have to understand that, remember, he said that Paul talked about in Romans 11 chapter that blindness in part has came to Israel. Some of the Israelites have not accepted that Christ was the Messiah. So many of them were persecuting the apostles and the disciples. So in order for Herod to get some favor with some of the Jews who did not believe that Christ was the Messiah, he took Peter and was going to kill him. Okay? And now, you say that this was during the times of the days of unleavened bread. We're going to go into this later in this message, but just a brief understanding for you to understand it. The days of unleavened bread started with the Passover on the Sabbath, and the Sunday started the next Sabbath, which was the day of unleavened bread. It went 7 days. This was the celebration of Christ. We're going to explain that in a minute, but I have to get you to understand what Israel was doing versus what the Romans were doing. Verse 4.
And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison, and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people.
To bring him when?
Intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people.
So you see right there that the Israelites was keeping the days of unleavened bread. The Romans were the ones who were doing Easter. Easter has nothing to do with Israel. Just needed to show you that in the Bible. But people try to say, Easter's in the Bible, but you see right here what the Israelites were doing versus what the Romans were doing. 2 separate times. When he got Peter, he was doing down the days of unleavened bread. But he said, after Easter is over with, that's when I'm going to kill Peter. Had nothing to do with Israel. The Israelites were not practicing and celebrating Easter. Now, I had to show you that. Let's go back to the link. Start back there at the Easter story.
The Easter story comes from the Sumerian legend of Tammuz and his wife Inanna also known as Ishtar, an epic myth called the descent of Enion, found inscribed on cuneiform clay tablets dating back to 2100 BC.
So the practice of Easter goes back to 2100 years before Christ. Okay? This has nothing to do with Israel. And anybody who believes in Christ, it has nothing to do with you. Okay? Keep going.
When Tammuz dies, Ishtar is grief-stricken and follows him to the underworld. In her absence, the earth loses its fertility. Crops cease to grow and animals stop reproducing. Unless something is done, all life on earth will end. After Eniana has been missing for 3 days, her assistant goes to other gods for help. Finally, one of them, Enki, creates 2 creatures who can carry the plant of life and water of life down to the underworld, sprinkling them on Eniana and Tammuz, resurrecting them, and giving them the power to return to earth as light of the sun for 6 months. After 6 months are up, Tammuz returns to the underworld of the dead, remaining there for another 6 months, and Ishtar pursues him, prompting the water god to rescue them both. Thus were the cycles of winter, death, and spring life.
You see what it's about now? This is why during people who are pagans, people who celebrate, call themselves witches, wicked, and Satanists, one of their main holidays is the winter and spring solstice. This is why Easter is never the same time of year, because it has nothing to do with Christ. It's about the spring solstice. Now I just want you to think about this. How can we say one year that Christ resurrected in March, and then the next year we say he resurrected in April? Think about that, people. It has nothing to do with Christ. We'll say one year was Resurrection Sunday. Christ raised on this Sunday in March. Next year, Resurrection Sunday. Christ raised in April. If you really just think about it, it doesn't make any sense. But when you're trapped in traditions, when you're trapped in theology, when you're trapped in denominations, you're just gonna go with the flow. We didn't even think about it. We just was doing it. So now we've shown you here that Easter has nothing to do with Christ. And we're gonna show you in a little bit that this Sunday stuff has nothing to do with Christ. Today's lesson, entitled, It's Time to Set Things in Order. Now, let's give them the next link. Let's talk about Christmas now. We're going to show you. This was another thing that came out from the Council of Nicaea. The old St. Nick thing. One of the bishops that was at the Council of Nicaea was a man by the name of Nicholas. He was from Turkey. He was not considered a saint by the Catholic Church until the 19th century. Okay? Actually, what happened was once they began to look at him and it spread it to the Germans, to the German culture. This is how he became a saint. And that's how you got the old St. Nick. Okay? This is where Christmas comes from. Making him to be Santa Claus. Old St. Nick was another one of the bishops who voted for this nonsense at the Council of Nicaea. So let me show you now how Christmas got into the church. It's called Saturnalia, not Christmas. I'm going to show you this here. Now, he put that link in there. You've already put that link in there for him. That link is in there. We about the one with the sync, remember.com.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 So we're about to read some excerpt from this, and then we got to put that in there for your own time. Now, yeah. All right. Let's start there at Roman pagans.
Roman pagans first introduced the holiday of Saturnalia, a week-long period of lawlessness celebrated between December 17th and December 25th.
That's kind of curious those days, huh? Keep going.
During this period, Roman courts were closed, and Roman law dictated that no one could be punished for damaging property or injuring people during this week-long celebration.
Sounds familiar? During the time of Christmas holidays, people wilding, shops closed down, the courts closed down, government offices closed down, school offices closed down. People wilding. You see people just doing any and everything, and people just, the fun spirit of Christmas. The people in the Christmas spirit. Keep going.
The festival began when Roman authorities chose an enemy of Roman people to represent the Lord of misrule. Each Roman community selected a victim whom they forced to indulge in food and other physical pleasures throughout the week. At the festival's conclusion, December 25th, Roman authorities believed that they were destroying the forces of darkness by brutally murdering this innocent man or woman.
Okay, so these pagans came up with this old idea of saying we're gonna make a person eat a bunch of good food and just have a bunch of wild sex and just do all kind of crazy stuff, and then on the last day we're gonna kill them because we're gonna kill stuff out. Now, think about it. During the Christmas holidays, don't you see a lot of that going on? People just wilding. I'm in the Christmas spirit. So they just turning up every day. I'm in the Christmas spirit. So they having all these jobs, the Christmas parties on their job where people are wilding, people having sex at the job, and people having sex in the bathroom, and people just wilding, and then they falling in love and just doing all these things. And believe it or not, a lot of missing cases happen during these holidays. A lot of the hospitals find babies and stuff coming up missing during this winter solstice. If you do your research, during the so-called Christmas holidays, a lot of people around the country come up missing. Because some of the pagans are still practicing the same thing. Now I want you to just get an understanding before we go forth to here and break this down. Just to think about it. Because I know some of you are pondering in your head. It's kind of difficult for you to digest. The world has nothing to do with the church on any other day. But on Easter and Christmas, they all in. Have you ever asked yourself that? Why is that? If you invite somebody to come to church on a regular Sunday, you want to talk about the Bible on a regular day, they don't want to have nothing to hear. They don't want to have nothing to do with it. They want to hear it or nothing. But yet, when Christmas and Easter comes, every third commercial is about it. Every sitcom, every reality show is on. They're talking about Christmas and they celebrating Christmas, celebrating Easter. Movies coming out. The businesses and everybody just promoting it. If they don't want to have nothing to do with it, with Christ and the Bible, why are they celebrating these things? Okay? Now, let's go further. Got some more here to show you. It says, start back there, the ancient Greek.
The ancient Greek writer and poet and historian Lucian stated, in addition to human sacrifice, there is also a widespread intoxication, going from house to house, really singing naked. Now,
this is where your caroling comes from. Now, thank God that the people stopped doing it naked. But that's where it comes from. That's where your caroling comes from. People going from house to house, singing songs and stuff. This is where it comes from. Okay? Now, it says, widespread intoxication. We know you see that. Everybody drunk. The liquor store's almost sold out. That Christmas Eve, before that liquor store closed, and I'm not trying to judge because I used to be right there. The liquor store is packed. You can't find a parking space because people going there getting them bottles by the cases. On all these jobs, they're having these Christmas jobs on the jobs. Everybody drunk. Everybody wild. You see where it comes from. Okay? And it said, what else is going on?
Rape and other sexual immorality, and consuming human-shaped biscuits.
Okay, here we go. This is the key right here. Listen to this right here.
In the 4th century, Christianity imported the Saturnalia festival, hoping to take the pagan masses in with it. Christian leaders succeeded in converting to Christianity large numbers of pagan, by promising them that they could continue to celebrate the Saturnalia as Christians. The problem was that there was nothing intrinsically Christian about Saturnalia. To remedy this, these Christian leaders named Saturnalia concluding day December 25th to be Jesus' birthday.
That's how it came. You see that? The Romans, the Gentiles, because they wanted to come in. You have to understand that Constantine became a Christian for political reasons, not because he really had a faith. Research that guy. He didn't believe in Christ. Because Romans at the time was splitting up. And in order for him to have power, he needed all these people grouped up under one thing. So the Gentile leaders said, look, I tell you what, you keep on doing all your wild stuff that you're doing during Saturnalia. You can do everything you want to do. Okay? That's right. I'm glad you put that in there about Jeremiah 10, because that's the Christmas tree right there. Didn't have time to go in there, but thank you for putting that in there. So, the Christian leaders said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to tell the people that December 25th is Jesus' birthday. That way you can do your thing, and we over here doing this thing. Had nothing to do with Christ. Nothing to do with Christ. Now, Jay, do you still got that picture that I sent you about the Sabbath day? You remember we sent how the Sabbath day got changed? Remember we used to read that from the. I forgot to send that to you before. I forgot to send that to you before we got started with the lesson. It talks about it goes in there talking about how the Sabbath lesson switched up. You know, I wanted you to read from there instead of having to go through all the other stuff. Yeah, it was an image, but if you keep going, you should see it in there. I texted it to you a long time ago.
Was it a link or a picture?
Yeah, it was a picture. They pushed that thing in there, the battery thing charge. Well, we're gonna put we'll just put the link in there, so you can understand how Sunday worship changed. Don't worry about it. We got the link. They got the information on it, so we don't got to worry about it. I just wanted to read that, so we don't have to go through this link. But just put that link in there. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna put a link in there to show you how Sunday worship came, as far as church was concerned. Let me explain this, because we need to get back in the Bible to set this true foundation. Our Israelite people that were still in Rome, remember a lot of us got took in captivity in Rome after we were sacked in 70 AD. The book of Romans that you see Paul writes were from some Israelites that escaped into the areas of Rome, right? Rome put out a decree during the time of 300 to the time of Constantine that the Sabbath was no longer viable, that anybody that was caught worshiping on the Sabbath would be killed. A lot of our people, a lot of our Israelite people were killed because they refused to worship on Sundays. Key word, Sunday. The Romans worshiped the sun. Apollo was a sun god. And so Constantine and the Romans forced the faith to be transformed, transitioned into Sunday. And anyone caught worshiping Christ and doing the gospel on the Sabbath were killed. So once they killed off so many of us, the next generation came up, they thought that Sunday was the day. So this wasn't the Sabbath changed. We're going to show you in a minute that Christ didn't raise on a Sunday. But this was forced upon the people, not something that the people chose, because they worshiped the sun. That's why it's called Sunday. So we put that information in there for you to have, let you see how Sunday worship started. When the Most High says in His commandments, and we're about to go through this in a minute, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. The Gentiles came in, overtook the faith, overtook the authority, overtook the standard with the Catholic Church, and changed the Sabbath day unto Sunday. This is why our people are washing cars, cutting grass, going to the mall, doing all the things on the Sabbath, which you weren't supposed to be doing none of those things. And remember, I told you, this is why we started in Psalms 147, 19 and 20. That the law, statutes, and commandments were given to our ancestors. It is our responsibility to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, not the Gentiles. My brother's going in. I'm so glad you put this stuff in because I couldn't have an opportunity to put it in. I thank you so much, my brother, for putting in these precepts. I thank you so much. Appreciate you. God bless you, brother. Now, may the Most High continue to smile down upon you. Now, go to Matthew the 15th chapter.